just having it out there in the ether and just kind of pulling money, helter-skelter may not necessarily be the right way to handle something like that. And if we want to expand this in the future and make it an even bigger event, I think we do need to account for those dollars within our budget. I think that's an important aspect, and I think it needs to be considered.
My only question for that would be, if you do it for that, do you do it for every special event? So do we do that for Boo Bash, where we have additional police presence around that area? Do we do that for the baseball tournaments, where we might have a high density of individuals, for all the marathons that come through town, where we have to dedicate some staff and resources to that? So I really think you're opening Pandora's box for something that really, at the end of the day, is a managed cost. It's not one that's put the city at a financial burden from what we've been told in the past. We pull in outside resources, I believe the sheriff and even some of the outside agencies. Chief will speak to that, or he's probably learned in the past. I think Olathe and Lenexa have dedicated some officers to come down and help. There might be a cost, but at the end of the day, I think it's a cost that's well absorbed by the city for the goodwill that's built by it. And having a line item to that, I don't think will change the outcome nor change the result or make it any easier or more difficult to track. It just says, where do you draw the line? Why do we do this for Festival of the Trails and not do that for all the other special events that the city hosts now and currently would hope to host in the future? I just don't think it's a necessary thing.
The difference, though, is that on a baseball game or something like that, or a tournament, that truly is part of Parks and Rec. And here we're supporting an organization that isn't part of the city.
But you could look at the marathon. I mean, we could look at the 5Ks. We could look at all the runs that happen where they have to do additional setup and things. Now, some of that's handled by the Parks and Rec department, but they aren't Parks and Rec's events. Again, we're lending our resources to benefit the city for an event that's going to bring goodwill, the neighborhood, all those things that we want our city to be. These are what these items feed into, and having to line item them. I don't think it achieves anything than trying to micromanage a piece that doesn't need to be micromanaged, because we already have people in play that already take care of that for us.
We're not hiring additional resources
No.
for these events.
But we're paying additional salaries.
We're paying
and really, I mean, this is just generally accepted accounting principles, really, to say if you have an expense, it should be, it should be a budgeted item, and it should be, there should be some sort of documentation that that's what it was for, and especially if it's a third-party organization. And I'm being consistent here. I said the same thing about it for the cemetery. I mean, we can't I just think it's a bad practice to just throw out money, not have a budget for it, and not have, some sort of procedure that says, well, if it's an outside organization like Festival of the Trails, we're happy to provide the support, but it's gonna come out of our economic development budget. I mean, we charge right now, don't we charge, Jeff, the organizations that use the city for billing to conduct their special activities? For instance, I saw in just this week's expenditures, a teacher or former teacher from this district who is doing tennis lessons. I'm assuming there's like $786 charged to that, and do we take a piece of that?
Yeah, I'm assuming what you were taking a look at was payment for an instructor agreement,
right?
And contracted out
exactly
with such an instructor.
And we bill for that, right? I mean, don't we? Or do we take some of that?
Some of the revenues?
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't that the special programs?
We keep a portion of those revenues to offset some of the costs we may have with putting on those programs in there.
So this is really no different. I mean, they're using a city service.
Well, we're talking about.
But that's not an employee.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying somebody an outside, almost like a contractor, to come in and provide a service.
I mean,
so you wouldn't be paying her any other way.
Well, we are paying for a festival that we could host it internally, and then then it definitely would be a budgeted item, right?
Well, at this point, because I don't want to get us caught going around in circles. And I understand your point, and Steve has spoken to it as well. I guess what I'm looking for from this is, can we tell the nice folks from the Festival on the Trails who have bothered to come out on a Monday evening that, yes, we will support them if they want to have the festival on a Friday and Saturday. And I think that your point is well taken, that maybe a cost accounting could be done when we're providing support for the festival and other events. Now, I don't think that means that we're going to cancel other events, but since the 2014 budget is already closed, it is something that we can consider when we're working towards the 2015 budget in the winter and spring. Is there anybody that doesn't wish to support the expanded festival on the trails?
Anyone else, you mean?
Well, I was going to get around to you.
No, I mean, again, I'm not trying to, I mean, I do, I think it brings good press to the city, and I think that's admirable. It's a, you know, it's been a grassroots effort, which I think is great, but in the end, I mean, we gotta have some accounting here, so
Okay.
I'm not in favor of that, no.
I just have a couple things to say. I don't know if you know, but I am on the Festival of the Trails board. So I didn't want anybody to think, oh, wait, she's not saying anything. But I am on the board. I do think it's a great event for the city. I, of course, am supporting that the city would give support to the expansion. So maybe further accounting later down the line needs to be investigated, but I would, of course, be for it.
Keith?
Absolutely in favor of it.
Yes.
Steve?
I'm all for it. The only concern I had was how we would manage the expenses internally. That's all.
Okay, but we don't have to,
And we don't.
it's not an issue we have to resolve this evening.
Yep.
So, and I wholeheartedly support the expanded event. So, for those of you who showed up this evening for that, I hope that is sufficient. So, that is all the new business items that we have for this evening. Does staff have anything for council? Chief, any update on the Citizens Police Academy?
We're starting into our third week, and it's still being well received. Have a good turnout. So far, everyone appears to be enjoying it.
Very good. Jeff, I know the Parks and Rec has a new Facebook page.
Yes, sir, we do. We encourage everyone to like us.
All right. How many people like you now? So.
I like it. I believe, well, we just launched a little over a week ago, and I think we're at 400, give or take. So
Yeah. So any of you guys out there in the audience, if you haven't already liked the Parks and Rec Facebook page, or the police department page, or the city page, I encourage you to get out there and do that. Council have anything for staff?
How much longer will we be employing the services of Alexander Open Systems? I saw another couple of bills come across the expenditures list for, I think, $9,000 and $1,500, something like that, which, if memory serves me correctly, we're up to probably $60,000, $70,000 three-quarters of the way through the year.
They are just about phased out. We had them here for a little bit of cross-training with the new IT person, and you're right, they're going down to like $1,500, so we're pretty much done, almost. We're almost there.
All right, so the migration back to the city is almost
Absolutely.
complete.
You have 391 likes now, Audrey. Just letting you know.
All right, very good. Well, with that being the case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you.
Motion, shoot, second Harrison, that we adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we are adjourned. If it were only that easy. Okay, we're going to move on to the work session portion of tonight's meeting.
Point of order, can we do that? We've already scheduled, we've already noticed for 7:30.
Oh,
I wondered the same thing.
Yeah. I don't think we can.
yeah, thank you very much. Actually, the meeting for, the work session meeting was scheduled to start at 7:30. It has been noticed. Thank Steve Shute for pointing out the point of order. You need to use the restroom or get some fresh air. By all means, we'll start the work session at 7:30.